Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com, powered by lineups.com. Nate and Josh coming back to you one more time this NBA season for the final game of the season. Game 7 in the NBA Finals, the Magic Words. Coming off a really good Game 6 there, 5-1 on the official picks we handed out in that one. Going to be taking a look at some fun bets in this one, I would say, and got a bunch of extra props for you as well. Plenty of guys that we're looking at, running through most of them. So hopefully you'll get something out of this. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are going to be coming back to you guys here, I'm sure, with plenty of stuff on the lines and the lineups.com stuff here during the summertime. So definitely want to keep following along, but we're going to get right into it right now for this Game 7. Nate, let's kick it off with what you're looking at to get into first.
Yeah, I'm not really betting the spread. And if you had been following along, you would be holding a nice plus 300 or plus 320 ticket for the Thunder to win this one. Here's another way to get involved, though. A little bit of a ladder for Thunder to score 23 in all quarters is plus 140. You can go up to 24, and it's 2-1 on your money in all 4 quarters. So that means, obviously every quarter. The fourth quarter does carry over to overtime, though. By the way, in case that does happen, you'd be a shoe-in if we're going into overtime. It's a Game 7. You might get one of those random 18-point quarters. I mean, certainly in past eras, we've gotten that. I don't know if that's the type of basketball we're going to see here. Again, talking about free throw rate between these two teams. The Pacers had their best defensive performance of the series by far, and hats off to them. It was fantastic. They still can't guard SGA and Dub. Especially if those guys know what's coming. They can't keep him off the free throw line. They're going to be able to chip away. And then all OKC needs is some role players to hit some shots. And look, we don't have to think too far back to remember buying the dip here on the 3-point shooting. When they won that Game 4, they weren't supposed to because they only hit 3 threes. Very next game, back home cooking, 44% from 3, 14 threes, 24 assists. And now we're basically in the same kind of buy low spot where OKC couldn't hit anything in Indy, and they're going to come home and, where they're scoring 15 more points per game than on the road in these playoffs since their Game 7 moment in Denver, where it was kind of a growing up moment where they scored 125, right? We're talking 25 plus in every quarter except for Game 1, Game 1, quarter 1 against Minnesota. So, and all 12 in this finals, by the way, they have 25 plus at home. That includes when they choked away Game 1 and only got to 110 in that game, but still 25 in the fourth quarter because of what Shea was doing. And look, we got a little extra rest here. Like the Game 4, it was choppy, it was low scoring, in part because of that short rest. When you remove the Game 4 that in that Denver series where Chet compared it to a back-to-back, basically. They're scoring 127 after a loss in these playoffs are the Thunder. They have a 121 offensive rating every game with 2+ days rest, including these playoffs. And rest means a little bit more pace for this Thunder team, and Indy depends on pace. It's been a 98+ pace every time Indy has won a game here in this series. So I don't think it's going to be your typical Game 7 finals game. When you look back and you see it's a 93-87 game or whatever. I think we're in a modern era, and the Thunder can put up consistent points here.
Yeah, modern era and just these two teams. I mean, more than anything, we still saw some pretty choppy games in very recent memory in the finals. And this year specifically, it's just two teams that whoever wins the turnover battle wins because of pace. In addition to obviously turnovers not getting you points, the other each team is very good at getting out into transition, and so those turnovers often turn into points, which is a big part of the handicap for all of it. But the Thunder at home, the turnovers are mostly coming for the away team. Obviously, each team won a game on the road so far, but still winning more than they're losing at home for each of these squads. And we know what the Thunder do here. Talked about it last episode. Pretty much talked about it since Game 4 or 5, where if you look at the trend for the Thunder on the road versus at home, 120 offensive rating, on the road 106 offensive rating in the playoffs. Decent enough sample size at this point to go it's the playoffs, home and away each actually matter, as opposed to what the regular season in the NBA. I'm not giving it much stock. You talk about the playoffs, you talk about the finals, you talk about the Thunder winning the franchise's first ever championship. The Sonics don't have one, do they? Maybe they won the 70s, but either way, not important. It's been a long time since anybody who rooted for this franchise did get one. The Sonics have one in the 70s. Mea culpa. But either way, I like this bet, and I think plus 140 is a great number. I'm going to go back to your boy, Obi Toppin. Man, the Knicks could really use a really athletic rim runner. Not important. He is playing in Game 7 of the finals. He played 23 minutes in Game 6. Blowout time, right? There was garbage time, and Obi Toppin is not a part of garbage time. By the way, that's not far enough on your bench for him to get in there. He's getting in the first 5 minutes of the first quarter these days. And we talked about Miles Turner not being a good fit for that. Nothing's changing here. Miles Turner's props, we have not seen like, what is it? It's 12.5 points, 4.5 boards. We have not seen that for Miles Turner out here. This is like Brooke Lopez territory with the rebounding for how bad he is right now in this series. Love you, Brolo. Either way, for Obi, like the minutes are going to be there as long as this is a game. 7.5, it's not a blowout spread, but it's teetering on the edge of like, if this thing gets past 15, 16 points for the Pacers, you start to get nervous for them. They've also come back on the back of Obi Toppin numerous times in these playoffs. Him and TJ as well, obviously, but his touches up in the front court in the top 3 last game for this team in the front court specifically. So when they get into their action, he's very much a part of it. And I think we're probably still expecting similar looks here for Halliburton. Looked spry enough to be able to play, but the point is like they're going to need that explosiveness to come from another guy like Obi Toppin. Really, the most explosive guys they have to throw at you are Obi Toppin and Benedict Mathurin. I don't know what Benedict Mathurin did other than not being able to play defense very well, having a pretty bad net rating. Carlisle he's in the doghouse. So Obi's that guy that comes in, gives you that burst at this point. I think we got to bank on him getting big minutes and big touches.
Yeah, I mean, right behind TJ as in terms of the MVP of that Game 6. And so, yeah, I mean, I just throw it back. Did you think about TJ McConnell again trying to ride that wave?
Yeah, I did. His stuff's just really high. And I felt high last game, coming off of 18 points prior to that. He got the 10 points, but the prop was 10.5 last game. So you had to add the RA. Do you think there's going to be as many rebounds available for TJ McConnell in this game? I do not, as there were last game. So yeah, then you got the dimes. So now we're relying on guys to make shots on the road in Game 7. None of that adds up to TJ being in a good spot here.
Yeah, I wouldn't chase too hard. I mean, he was like actually dominating the game in Game 2, in quarter 2. And I looked up and I was like, he still hasn't gotten his props though. Like, and even in the second stint, it's like it's just like a lot of loud stats and just like making a huge impact. But we're talking raw numbers here with TJ McConnell.
No, and I just want to just touch on that point real quick too, because it is relevant to Pascal Siakam too, which I said last game, and I'm kind of saying this game we're not talking about him much, but last game it was like, yeah, he's going to have a good game, but everybody coming out and saying, well, he has to score 30 because who else is going to do it? It's not how the Pacers play offense. So 21.5 points for Siakam is too high. He ended up with a good number, but he had 13 rebounds and still didn't get his PRA to the over for the rebound for the record. So like these numbers are getting high for a reason. Don't fall victim to just thinking this guy's in for a big game, so I got to go over on his props. You got to play the number as well.
Yeah. Well, maybe for the more balanced Indiana Pacers, but I will take the over for your boy J-Dub to bounce back here. I mean, he had a -40, which was the worst of all time in the finals last game. I think somebody's going to mention that to him, and I think he's going to have a little something to bounce back with. I mean, the previous 3 is averaging 31 a game, right? 34% usage, just absolutely ascending. And I mean, he still had 16 in the first half, even though it wasn't like within the flow of the offense, and not a really good recipe when SGA and Dub have 31 of your 42 points at halftime. But I still like, the idea of adding them to parlays for these guys to both get 20, 25 in SGA's sense, to just not go down like that. I mean, at home, and you look after a loss. I mean, there's a big reason OKC is 18-2 after a loss, right? And the last 4 since again that coming of age Game 7 against Denver, Dub is averaging 26 points per game after a loss. He shot the lights out against Minnie and Denver in those last 2 situations, and he's had double digits in 9 of 12 first halves, including that last one. So comes out strong. You were looking at some first quarter stuff once again, and although he hasn't been playing the full run in the first quarter. So that was a little tight last time. But if you just look at the data from the previous 2 games before Game 6, more drive points per game than SGA, 100% on field goals in the paint, 100% on his paint touches, 60% on catch and shoot. SGA continues to draw these doubles. They were definitely flustered him last game. He had 8 turnovers, did not have good assist numbers. But again, remember Game 5 when he had 0 assists, goes right up to 10 assists. Absolutely dominated the game with his passing, and Dub goes for 40 playing off SGA. So I definitely think he's going to have a strong Game 7 here.
Yeah, and I think you're right to leave the assists out. Like his true impact comes from just dominating drives to the rim. And that was the big thing here in those 3 games where he was averaging the 31, including the 40 piece. Is he's got the most drives on the team, and he's also looking at the most free throws on the team, double-digit free throw attempts in 2 games. And it wasn't there this game, and it wasn't there from SGA either. He was settling. Nemhard was a pest, beyond a pest. And for Jalen Williams, Neesmith played a little bit better. I will give you that. But let's also realize the Pacers sold out entirely in Game 6 on J-Dub and on SGA. It's a very good game plan to leave Chet open from 3 these days. If you're doing that, under 1.5 threes for Chet is minus 190 these days for a reason. That's crazy for a guy who can easily go 2 for 3, 2 for 4 when he's left open for catch and shoot. So yeah, the stuff for J-Dub, let's leave the assists out of it. He's going to get aggressive. I still like the first quarter points and rebounds. They actually soared over. 5.5 is still there. As long as you're getting under 6, you're good. The rebounds, 2 of them. And he had 8 minutes in this last game in the first quarter. Not sure if Dagnall was mixing it up, but I would expect in Game 7 that both of them are on the floor for 10 plus minutes in Q1. I don't know what you're waiting for, right? Yeah, at this point. So look, Nemhard, awesome offensive game, 17 points, gave them a huge spark. He's this weird dude who, I mean, look, it's not even that weird. It's just that he knows his spots, right? But it doesn't really matter for the rebounds and assists. And we're still getting 8 of them. He had 4 assists, no boards last game, and it's been at 7.5, and the under has been as low as like minus 130. And yet, for some reason, we're getting even money, and it's because we know how important he is to this team. But he is in like the way you get assists on this team is you're sort of the guy who gets the first pass after Halliburton gets double teamed or what have you. That just ain't happening. Now he's really the guy who's getting a lot of his touches, not in the front court, and he's still involved in the offense, but he's at the end of the sort of offensive scheme or the play. It's not like him getting a pick and roll to then go to the bucket and get the assist. It's not him in any position for that. And on defense, we know what he's doing. It is just make SGA's life as miserable as possible. He gets picked up 90 feet away from the basket immediately as soon as he touches the ball. He's the only guy getting full court pressed is SGA to try to make him as tired as possible. And that's going to make Nemhard a little bit more tired as well. It's a big reason why I think he is become a bit more of a let's get you into the corner and you can get that shot off from there, or you're the sort of dude who's getting the ball after it goes around the horn a little bit and you can decide from there. But didn't even really have the potentials in the last game, despite the fact that his that we know Halliburton's not necessarily going to be the exact same type of player that he's been. So still good with this number. I'm not going to get the points involved. We're going to get like a 10 plus points or anything. I don't know what it's going to be like on the road for him. So I'm just going to leave it at the under on the RA.
Yeah, definitely don't want to get the points. I mean, you had a parlay in our show, Game 5 show that got clipped, right? Where it was like Nemby to get 10, but still go under with his RA. And I think that's still live here for 2-1. I mean, yeah, 177 offensive rating.
No, I'm with it. I was just going to say he had 7 points at halftime in that game, and then and it was 7 points in that Game 5. So looks like we were cruising. It actually looked like he was going to go over on the RA. He had like 6 RA at the half, didn't get another one, also didn't get a point in the second half. So he fell away.
Yeah, and we talked about the reasons when you're glued to SGA to have 0 rebounds. That's very transferable from game to game. It's like, yeah, you're nowhere near where the rebounds need to be. I don't expect there to be a ton of assists in this game in general. Certainly Indy to probably come back to earth a little bit in terms of the flow of their offense and the way they just kind of spun circles around OKC's defense. That defense is going to have something for you next time out. And that means you, Hallie, who I'm just going to stick with the points here, 15.5. I mean, I think it's safer to probably go 27.5 PRA under, but the odds get way worse. And I think really what we're targeting here is a lack of scoring from Hallie, who had 3 threes in his nice like Willis Reed moment there, Game 6. Definitely looked pretty good, which, we were on that as part of the reason the Pacers were going to be able to cover, and certainly cover they did. But I don't trust him necessarily to continue, playing on this really bad injury. Kind of caught OKC flat-footed. Definitely got outplayed by his backup, who, TJ for Finals MVP. Kidding, not kidding. But now Tyrese on the road here with Dort, going to be all over him, being like, okay, so this is just like the first couple games, right? Where we want to cut off the head of the snake, which the Thunder have done all year. Primary ball handler, we got to be up in him. Do not let him score. Do not let him get going at all. And that's why in his 3 trips to OKC this series, he's only averaging 11.7, shooting 26% from 3. He's a -18 in the last 2. And 12 of those points, by the way, came in the fourth quarter of garbage time in game 2, if you remember. So, I mean, he's basically looking at like single digit points in all these games at OKC. The assist data isn't that promising either. I mean, he only managed 1 rebound. Granted, only played 23 minutes in game 6, but I don't know at this point with his health if he's going to be able to jump in there and grab a lot of boards and then push. It seems like he's kind of deferring to like let Siakam get it over half court, let TJ, he's playing a lot with TJ. So it's not as much of the ball dominant stuff we saw from Hallie all year. And I mean, he's a road killer. He killed the Cavs. He killed the Knicks on the road, but he's not healthy now. OKC's a different animal. I mean, they even shut him down in the regular season, 10 points per game. His last 3 meetings with them, a minus 32. So I think if they really get up into him, don't let him shoot threes. I don't think he's going to do that much damage inside the arc.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of the assists either. I don't think he'll be as involved as he was. It's not that he was overly involved. It's just that he picked his spots correctly. He was really efficient. I don't know that you're going to get that level of efficiency in this game. And if you're looking to fade a star, then this would be the one, even at this number of 15.5 points.
Yeah, but if you don't want to fade a star, I do have a second option here. If that's not the way you bet, that's not the way you want to watch Game 7. Fade this man who really, mea culpa. The one pick we got wrong in Game 6 was saying they're going to need Benny Matz. He was the worst part of Game 6 by far for the Pacers. To be a minus 18 in a game, your team wins by 30. It doesn't get more glaring than that. I mean, just because he's a ball stopper, right? I mean, this with Kuminga with the Warriors. It's like they're playing this beautiful offense, and then all of a sudden this guy gets the ball and just stands there at the top of the key. It's like, I guess I'm going to take a step back 3 or something. And so I don't know if Carlisle's going to chop his minutes a little bit more. We're now looking at 14 minutes in 2 of the last 3. But clearly it's not a good idea to get him out there when the game was competitive in that last one, just because of that. And then his body language is really starting to show the lack of confidence. He's 1 for 9 from 3 in these last 2. OKC loves it now when he drives. They're like, all right, you want to drive into the chest of Chet Holmgren? Like, we're not going to expect you to get bailed out and go to the free throw line that much. So totally misread that one going into Game 6, and I'm fine flipping to the under now for Mathurin.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm just going to stay away just because he's similar to like Aaron Wiggins. I don't know when he's going to play 9 minutes and when he's going to play 22. If it's dependent on him making shots in the first half, then I guess he's better as a live bet, to be honest. But I'm out as well. Like I definitely thought that was going to be the guy, and it's a big reason why I'm just like, well, it looks like the thing I can rely on is that Carlisle likes Obi Toppin and he doesn't like Benedict Mathurin. And everything you just said about Benedict Mathurin being a problem in the offense and also just not a good enough defender to warrant being out there if he's not really good on offense, it's the opposite with Obi. And that's why I do think like he's the one bringing that spark or the athleticism. The spark is obviously TJ a lot more than anything, whose numbers again are a bit inflated. That's why I would just make that clear once again. But I'm going to close it out. I got a couple guys for 3. I do like Nesmith at 10.5 points. I do like him at 14.5 PR. I think we're getting value because he was, wasn't great in the last game, but he also got reduced minutes. He's a guy that you're quickly going to be like, it's fine. We don't need him as much at the end of the game. Let's get some minutes in for some other guys. So garbage time came pretty early for Nesmith, but he's still hitting 2 threes in all but like 1 game in this series. And it's why it's priced the way that it is. But the bulk of his points come off of that. The bulk of his shots come off of the 3. And the 10.5, I would still play it. There are times where if they run him off the line, if they get to him, then he is going to be driving into the lane and stuff like that. And that's going to be a few of his shots, but roughly 60% of them are from 3 for a reason. So you might as well just take the thing he's doing the most if you only need 2 of them and not even have to rely on the 2-point field goals here for him. And then the rebounds, like he didn't have the chances as much last game, but again, it was like at 22, 23 minutes in this last game. If this is a close game and he's not in foul trouble, which he's actually managed to stay out of in the last few, then this is still just a low number for a guy averaging 19.5 PR per game in the playoffs. Someone who, when he's not hurt, they do want to play that amount of minutes. And again, there's a strong likelihood that like TJ's not quite as effective as he was, and that the bench is not quite in line for as big of a game as it was in this past game. So that's where I'm at with the Nesmith one, and I'll just throw this other one out there and let you respond to both. But like, we're back at home and we get Lou Dort with 1.5 threes. He's averaging 2.7 per game in the playoffs at home versus 1.3 threes made on the road in the playoffs. So we're back to home Dort. We need a better name for home Dort, but there's something there, right? It's home Dort. And then we've got the 7.5 points is around take that. 8.5 points for flat odds, -110 both sides. That's around. Don't need to add any of the other stuff, although he was kind of a good rebounder in this last game as well. He probably ruined some like PRA or PR bet unders for him if anybody had him, because the rebounds were high enough, but still only had one made three. It's Dort on the road. So like, let's get our boy here to get 2 threes. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, he was building bricks in Indy, and now he's back home where he has a bit more of a reliable shot. So I do sign off on it, but I think actually my preferred bet who we didn't get to is Caruso. Caruso is now like plus 140 to hit 2 threes. So completely the other side of this, because he's been so quiet the last 2 games. But who's going to calm down this young Thunder team in a game 7, right? It's probably going to be Caruso. I was looking at 11.5 PA for him, and then also maybe a little sprinkle on the plus money for the threes. But I mean, both him and Dort, it's just going to be like they're being dared. Like the entire Thunder team is being dared, right? To be like, show us you can hit shots off these 2 guys who are just throwing everything at, and they got to step up, or the Thunder are gonna just go out like chokers, and it's not gonna be good. But I trust them, those 2 dogs, Dort and Caruso, to do it. And I mean, yeah, speaking of dogs, Nesmith, absolutely not going out like a sucker. That he has been the heart and soul of this Pacers team pretty much the whole postseason.
Yeah, and honestly, there was a moment in the game last night where I forget who it was. Someone was like, "This Pacers team has been so much better on defense." It's like, yeah, when they got Nembhard and Nesmith back, they're 2 best defensive players. They got good at defense again. What a concept, right? So yeah, those 2 dudes so freaking important to this squad. But that is all the time we have for you in the final episode about these games for the season. Looking to come back, might have something about the draft. We still got to make some plans real quick, but we are going to be looking to come back to you as soon as possible. Either way, best of luck. Appreciate you guys following along all season. Until we do see you next, happy betting.